Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey and welcome to a new video. So the past couple days I have been here, past 3 days in fact, I have been at pest control getting my full void set. Now, I didn't have any void previously except for the Void Knight Elite top that you get when you complete the quest, The Void Stairs Back. So I did have to get almost everything, and it took a very long time in order to do that, since it's about 100 points an hour and I believe you need about 2.5k total pest control points, so around 25 hours. And then on World 53 you do fail games occasionally, so it took even longer than that to get all of the void done. So it took quite a while, but I finally got it done, and I have been putting this off for a very long time. Probably should have done it on the last double pest control points weekend. That is the time to get void. But void is a very useful armor for certain bosses in Runescape right now, and the reason why I decided to get it is I think in the long run it's going to really help me out with PVMing. So I wanted to touch on a couple things of why I got void and why it's really so good in this video. So we'll get into that, but I was just finishing up getting my full void set here. I did get all the superior upgrade patches, so it's going to provide me with 3% extra accuracy, which is the main reason why void is so good, as well as 7% extra damage while wearing this armor at the low cost of not having very much defense at all. But in most situations, that's not a huge issue, and you can easily get over that, and it's worth it for how much extra damage and accuracy you're going to be having. So the main boss that I decided to get void for, and probably the boss where the armor is the most effective, is for Nex, especially if you are soloing, because it helps you out a lot with getting through the blood phase if you have had troubles doing damage. And I have had troubles dealing damage in the past, and I can already say the void is making a really huge difference. As you'll see during this kill, I am using magic for the blood phase, as I personally find this by far the easiest style to use. And I found the blood phase extremely easy to pass solo with this void. You'll see on this kill I do manage to get it in one siphon. I have done several kills and attempts at next soloing with this void using magic against the blood phase, and it's only taken 1 or 2 attempts nearly every single time, which is just amazing. You do an incredible amount of damage because with the accuracy of the void armor that it gives you, compounded with the accuracy of the runic accuracy aura that I have equipped while using magic, of course, you hardly ever miss it next. It's amazing. So I did manage to get this particular blood phase down just on the one siphon. I was just making sure here that it was down, but it was. And also, even though you do take additional damage with the void because you don't have a whole lot of armor, it is easier if you struggle with food at next, whether solo or duo or whatever you're happening to do for this particular boss. It is easier with tier 90 armor because you will take less damage. However, the kill just goes by so much more faster and much more smoothly with the void armor that I think this armor is a humongous upgrade for Nex. And for this boss alone, I think it is going to be worth it because obviously it's going to take many Nex kills in order to get the next pet, which I am planning on getting one day. And this armor is just going to compound and make that a much faster process. At any boss where the defense level of the boss is so high that you are going to be missing some hits, such as Nex, for example, she has extremely high defense. Even with the void armor and runic accuracy, you still do miss occasionally using the void armor, and that's just because her defense level is so high. But against bosses like this, Nex is the main example, but also Virago, Rise of the Six, Calfight King if you're not on Slayer task, stuff like that. You do need the accuracy, and this is where the void armor comes in, because accuracy is even more important than damage at these bosses, because if you are missing a hit, that's a potential 2,000 to 3,000 damage that you could have dealt, or even more if you're using a threshold ability that you really want to be getting off, but you're missing it because of the lack of accuracy. Void, even though it's only 3%, this does cause a pretty big difference in the amount of hits that you will continue to get, and so this is why this armor is so important. Another very nice thing about the void armor is, due to the current state of the game, defense is not entirely required at most bosses, and there are ways to get around not having defense. There are a few places in the game where you probably wouldn't want to wear the void armor. For example, you want to have decent defense while tanking Calfight King, otherwise you'll just get torn to shreds. But in most PVM situations, there are ways to get around this. One thing that I tried out was using a shield on the Zeros phase of Nex, and I found that I barely used any food, even with the void armor, because you can use a lot of the defensive abilities to heal you up or block damage, and that results in, even though you have almost no defense from your armor, you still are not using a lot of supplies. So at any boss where accuracy is important in order to do the best DPS, Void is really your best option, and I personally tried to put it off for a really long time, tried to justify wearing the tier 90 sets, and at some bosses it's fine to do that. For example, Calfight King, you can just get a Calfight Slayer task. and then you're better off wearing a Slayer helm anyway. But it really is, as the game currently is anyway, worth getting the Void Armor if you are going for some of these bosses like Virago or Nex or Rise to the 6. And my hope is that in the future we'll see more bosses that come out that will really require more defense, because it gets to a certain point. Araxi is probably the best example of this in the game right now, where you're better off wearing tier 90 armor because you just take so much damage with using Void that you have to eat or brew down your stats, and then you actually do better damage wearing the tier 90 sets. Hopefully we'll see more bosses like that in the future, and then Void would be a little bit more balanced with the other armors in game in terms of usefulness, but that remains to be seen. Alright guys, that's all from me. I'm very happy to say I'm finally done with the horrors of pest control and have this armor now, so hopefully I will be able to be a little bit more effective at bosses now that I have the Void armor, kill them a little bit faster. And before we go, I have one very important thing to say, and that is FatNooblet recently got his Superior Elite Void. We happened to be doing it at the same time. I bumped into him at pest control several times. It happened to be that we both decided to go for the Superior Elite Void at the same time for whatever reason, and he made a video on Void as well. A lot of the stuff he said in that video was stuff that I was planning to say in this video, but you can watch that video. The link will be in the description if you want to check it out, and you'll be able to see two people's different perspectives on the Void armor in different scenarios. So hopefully that can clear up any questions that you might still have. Anyway, that's all for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Farewell.